Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome back. It's been a solid week since I've seen you, and there's a few things that I do want to make sure that we're navigating on the haiku page before we get to our content for today. First things first, there is a list right here that I would like you to take a look at in regards to getting ready for the AP exam. Number one, at this point in time, you should have received an email listing all of the AP tests you will be taking. You might find it on your parent email, you might find it on your personal email. Depends on what email you use to sign up for the College Board's account. Please email me right now if you haven't received that email yet. Next, at some point before the end of the week, please watch this video that Ms. Wilkinson made. If you have other AP classes, you might have watched it already. But if you haven't, it's about 45 minutes and it explains how the AP classes work. Friday, since we don't have normal class time, could be a good time to get this done. There's also an AP exam online demo that you're going to sign into here, which will prove that you're able to access the system on the day of the AP exam. Make sure that your AP login works. You have that ID and that ticket that you've received so far. And last but not least, when you're done, please click this link and fill it out. It's called the AP Exam Tracker. You only need to fill it out once per class, but it's a way for us to keep track of the fact that you're receiving the AP information that you should be. This is a whole new deal, right? We have never dealt with anything like this before where we're taking AP exams at home and our school is trying to support you to make sure that you have the technology and skills that you need to do it. Following this and getting this done by Friday at the end of the day would be awesome if you can pull that off. Now, onto our main course. Today, we're going to practice some ArrayList FRQs. So your bell work today is twofold. Do the following. You should receive some feedback on an assignment you completed last week. Called ArrayList Review IP. Please go ahead and read your feedback. And once you're done, you can click on today's assignment called the ArrayList FRQ. Open it up. And there's a little bell work assignment at the top that I'd like you to read through yourself. Something that I really want to get good at, and something that I think will help you with your AP FRQ, is to use these 3 steps to guide your answer. To ask and answer these questions such that you could break down this bigger problem that you're taking on into a meaningful way. Number 1, what should my for each loop say in words if there is one in that problem? Number 2, what methods from the class will I need to use and for what? And number 3, what ArrayList methods are required? I'd like you to complete this bell work assignment. Take as long as you need. And not only answer these 3 questions, but to the best of your ability, answer part B. See if you can figure out how to complete this method on the whole. These are kind of abbreviated versions of what I consider AP FRQ questions to be like. If you can pull this off, then we're looking good for transitioning into our FRQ. I highly recommend looking back at your feedback from last class before you do anything else. Man, yawns, burps, I can't keep it all together. So folks, it's time to jump into the ArrayLit zone. It's going to be great. I can feel it. We'll work through this for our agenda so far today. We'll do 2 about FRQs. One I'll do together, one you'll do on your own. And go ahead and pause your bell work assignment or this video right now to complete your bell work assignment. When you feel like you've got a good understanding of it, press play, and I'll work through it for you. All right, let's take a look at it. Your bell work today says the following. A class name student has a value called getName and a value called getGrade. Makes sense. GetName is a string and getGrade is an integer. It's also got a constructor, student, string name, int grade. A method called createSeniorList returns an array list of student objects. It receives an array list of students named all students. createSeniorList checks the all students array list, should say array list, for those who are in grade 12. It then puts all of these students in grade 12 into their own array list and returns them at the end of the method. There's a couple key things that this is going to be doing for us here. It's going to be creating a new array list. It's going to be adding array lists from another one. It has a constructor value for us to actually add these things in. So there's actually kind of 2 solutions you could take to complete this assignment so far. Well, let's start with getting to our good for each solutions. We want to run through this array list and see who's seniors, and then put them all back together. So we can do the following. What should my for each loop say in words? For every, I'm working with an array list of students, student in the array list, all students. I want to check every student in the array list, all students. Number 2, what methods from the class will I actually need to use? Well, we need get grade for sure. Check if they're a senior. I might use get name if when I'm adding them to the new list. It's kind of an option I'm going to show you here. What array list methods will be required? I'm going to the array list constructor, sure, because I'm making a new array list. And I'm also going to need add some type of student because I'm adding all the seniors in the list. If you want to use a Java quick reference that I posted last class, that could be helpful for completing this assignment if you ever need to take a look at those array list methods. So this problem has a couple parts. Create an array list, loop through all students, check, see who's a senior, add seniors to new array list, and then return the array list. That's kind of our 5 steps you're going to need to pull off for this one. And I picked this problem in particular because it tests you on some skills, like creating an array list, looping through them with the for each loop, and adding in values that I think are really important to know. So the way I create a new array list, it's straightforward array list with the class name inside of the carrots. I'm going to call it senior list. List of seniors. New. And I have to return the array list at the end. Okay, you can return an array list. You can return this entire collection of classes if you want to. I like to write that in right now so I don't forget. Next, I said I need to loop through all students and check who's a senior. So I said before that in words, in English, this was for every student in the array list, all students. The way I type that, student, and I'll call it S, and colon, in all students. Now S represents each student. Several of you didn't look at the notes last time about how to do this successfully. Go back and check your work. If you're writing your for each loops wrong, you're not going to get credit for them. Make sure you know them. That's our syntax for the class, a variable that represents the class, and it checks to see who's a senior. So I know if I'm checking something, if S is my variable that represents every student in the array. If getGrade equals 12, then I needed for sure to use getGrade. My method, I want to add that student into the new array list. I can write all senior list dot add. Since I've already thought about using the add function and adding a new student. And that's one way to do this because S represents each student in the array. But you could also do this by calling the constructor in what I call the short way. Remember, the short way is when we dot add new student by putting the words new student inside of that code And I mentioned at the top of the problem that I could call the constructor, which requires a name and a grade. And I'm using the name and the grade from S in order to do that. This is one way to add any student. But I can also do it using this short way method. I'm going to leave this up on the screen as long as it's helpful. This isn't posted anywhere else, but feel free to email me if you want it. And these are the kind of things that I'm hoping you're able to do with an ArrayList before you actually start to dive into the FRQs. You please come to office hours today if you feel like you want to. Because there's for sure going to be an array or ArrayList problem on your AP exam. I think it'll probably lean towards ArrayList. And I'm really, really, really excited because the other mastery topics that I graded from you on arrays and control structures were awesome. And y'all are doing really well. But I think that this is the one that requires the most attention to detail about all the parts that need to come together on it. Our goal for today is to complete 2 ArrayList FRQ problems. For the first problem, there's no time limit. In fact, I'm not even going to require you to do the entire thing. I'm just going to start with you asking to use the step method. This is the problem that was the optional problem on your homework last night, or last class, and it's also the example ArrayList problem they gave us to prepare for the exam this year, 2020 example problem to work through. Here's what I would definitely like you to do. I'd like you to practice reading an AP FRQ like this. Most AP FRQs look as following. The first page will give you a class, and the second class that they give you will somehow utilize an ArrayList of that class. In this case, it's called word pair, the first class is, and the ArrayList of word pairs is created in the second class. And then it'll have 2 components that ask you to utilize the methods of that class and an ArrayList of that class in some particular way. Before both of the problems, on the next page, I've given you a 3-step plan. I'd like you to pause the video when I'm done talking, at the very least, and complete those 3 steps. In the interest of time, we don't actually, I don't want to spend too much of your time, because if you were going to solve both of these problems, we'd definitely go well over an hour for class today. So I'm going to go over how to do this first problem. It's up to you if you want to try it first yourself. But I really want you to read the problem and put your 3-step plan in for part A and your 3-step plan in for part B before you continue on. That's going to be how your for each loop works if it requires one, what methods from the problem that you're going to have to use, and what methods of the ArrayList you're actually going to have to use. Okay. It's good to have an example of how this works first. So you can go ahead and pause this video, and whenever you feel ready that you've completed the 4 instructions on the screen, you can move on to the next video for today, and I will do that example problem for us today.